You've gone quiet. Hey, kia ora, Helen, Brahms here, coming to you live from Mesa in Arizona. I hope you've all had a super fantastic, sparkling, magical Monday. So what magic did you create today? What did you get started today? Remember, our story this morning was all about just starting. Just start. That's what our message was this morning with the story we read from Chicken Soup for the Soul, Think Positive, Live Happy. It was all about just start. So what did you just start today? I'm trying to think. My only new thing was I'll talk about in a minute. But today I got some work done for a client. I got some genealogy research done, which was awesome. I watched a video on genealogy and learned something new today. I've been with Ancestry.com since they started. It's an online database system that you can use to put your tree on there. You can do it for research. They have expanded it so much over the years. I've been with them. If you look at when I go into my profile, it says how long you've been on Ancestry. Mine just says 20 plus years. That's all it says. So I have basically been with them since they started. They used to have, they've done upgrades over the years. They've added a whole lot of databases over the years and everything else. But there was one thing that I really liked was that you could add an unrelated person to a tree. And the reason that you add unrelated people to a tree is if you are, they're connected to your tree in some way, you just don't know how. And it's called a floating tree within your tree. And you can pick them up. You just go search for the name, and you can pick it back up again and go to that section of the tree. But it's not connected to your main tree, but it floats in around and amongst there. And I'd done a lot of that over the years as I'm researching. When I was looking for relatives with a certain surname, I was putting anybody that had a connection that had that name into the tree, but I was putting them in as an unrelated person unless I knew how they connected into the tree. So I have a lot of floating trees within my main tree. And then today I was watching a video on YouTube that was done by another genealogist. It's always good because you can always learn a lot from your peers. So take note of this. Always go and check out if you're in the travel industry, in the insurance industry, in the genealogy, whatever, in home decor, interior designer, organizer, and all that. Always go check out what other people are doing on their YouTube channels that have a YouTube channel. What are they doing? What information are they giving out there? Always go and check on that to see, because you can pick up lots of little hints and tips along the way and go, oh, I didn't know about that. But one thing that I learned today was that, and I've always gone and started separate trees for these types of things, but I learned today I could actually do it as a floating tree. And that ages ago, Ancestry took away the ability to do a floating tree. So you couldn't add an unrelated relative, you had to add them to somebody in the tree. So I would just go start another tree. Today I found out how I can do that within my main tree by looking at another genealogist YouTube channel. They had how you go and create a floating tree within your tree. And I was like, oh, that's how I do it. Awesome. So now it's like, yes. And so I'm super happy now. And that you have what's called the fan club. And fan stands for friends, associates, and neighbors. So sometimes when you are, for example, when you're looking at a census report, and you find your relative there, or you find a relative, look who lives in the houses next door in the same street that's either next door to the person that's your ancestor, and put them in as a floating tree and keep them there, because the next time you go to research, go to the next census, because people didn't move very often between censuses back in the 1800s and the 1900s and stuff. They didn't move around a lot. They tended to stay in one house. And sometimes they were staying in the house that they were born in. They just lived there. They might get 2 or 3 generations in one house. So what was really good is that you then, if you have a floating tree for the neighbors, then you know that when you come and find that person on the census, you can go and see, oh, are the neighbors the same person as what we've already got? And find out that they are. And there is a way that you can link them to that person in the tree without actually attaching them as a relative to the tree. So I learned this whole new thing about floating trees today that I didn't know about. And to me, I'd just go start another tree and keep researching them that way. Or I would keep detailed notes on that person in a notebook when I was, I'd take whatever name I was researching, and then I'll put on this census they had these people either side. And I've got when you go on Ancestry, they've got a whole bunch of free forms. They've got one for every census, because every census they would ask different, they'd ask basic same information, but then there'd be other information that would be different that they would ask. So they would have forms that matched what forms that the census people collectors were using for that yearly census, and the same with England as well for the English census. So I would actually write on those census sheets, here's the family I'm interested in, here's the household either side. So I would actually have it physically written, but now I know how to put it in my tree as a floating tree and how to reference it, how to go into that my ancestors' profile and link it to that floating person without having them as a relative. I thought that is so cool. It's amazing what you learn when you go, you know, like I said, I've been using Ancestry for since the day dot, since they started. But there's always new things that you can learn. So I love learning new things about programs. It's like, oh my gosh, that's going to save me so much time. Why didn't I know this before? So besides doing some research for a client today, I was also in there for some of the stuff I've been researching lately. I have gone and put those people in there as floating trees. So I've gone and entered that information that I've had handwritten out as a floating tree and been able to connect it to the people in the trees that it's related, that it's like if they're neighbors or if they're neighbors, acquaintances, friends, that it's a name that you see pop up frequently. Like it could even be if you're looking at their wedding certificate and there's names on there, who are those people? So you could go and attach them as a friend until you find that family connection, and then then it's easy to attach them to your main tree. I'll tell you her story in a moment. I'm going to talk about you in a minute. And if you see them like in other documents coming up, or you see them, they come up frequently in other documents and think, who is this person? So now I can put them into the tree and I can go research them, start their own little family tree. And then when I find that connection, I can actually match the two of them up together, which is kind of cool. So like I said, I love learning new things. And so that's what I learned today. I learned about the fan club and genealogy, which is friends, associates, and neighbors, and how to create floating trees within your main tree. So I was kind of excited about that. And then the other thing that we had interesting happen today was that Zephy decided that she likes the smell of coffee. Now, it's not often that I will sit down and have a cup of coffee, but at lunchtime today I felt like I needed just a little pick-me-up, and I thought, for some reason I just had a craving for coffee. So I made myself a cup of coffee. Now, I don't have an espresso machine, I don't have a coffee machine or anything. I just use instant coffee. It's what we had in New Zealand when I grew up, and so to me it's fine because I don't have coffee often, so just have a jar of coffee sitting in the cabinet. That's fine. It works for me. It's no use me having a machine since I'm not a regular coffee drinker. So I made my cup of coffee. I'm sitting having lunch today while I'm drinking my cup of coffee. And Zephy, as normal, is sitting like right here. And as I'm with my left hand, I put my food up to my mouth, or my little coffee cup up to my mouth. Her nose is like right here sniffing. Like, well, can I have something? And the second I turn my head, look at her, she'd turn her head and just look away. It's a game that we play. It's hilarious. And she's sort of like, she sits there and then she just sort of like leans against me. Like, you're not paying any attention, so I'm just going to lean over against you for a bit. Because she sits on my right side, I eat with my left hand. And so she kept trying to smell the coffee, so I thought, right, well, I'll fix her. So I got the coffee cup and I actually moved it so it was underneath her nose. And I'm still hanging on to it, moved it underneath her nose. And she gives it this intense sniff. Like she's like sniffing around the rim of the cup and everything else. And then she lifts her head up and I see her tongue and she lifted her head up so she could get her tongue over the rim and into the coffee cup. And I'm just like, nope. And I just moved it out of the way and her tongue comes out and it's nothing. And she sits there and she looks at me. I'm like, no coffee for you. I says, you cannot have caffeine. I says, you are so energetic without the caffeine. You do not need caffeine. It'll just make you more hyper. No, we're not doing that. Although it might have the other effect and calm her down. But it was so funny. So all afternoon since then, you can hear her, right? She's been like this all afternoon, coming and whining. Sometimes it's been louder than others, but I've managed to get my work done. And even when I was on the phone, when I was on the phone doing some work for a client, she actually was quiet. So while I was on the phone, she was quiet. But then when I wasn't on the phone, if I was busy working or anything else, she was like whining up a storm and crying and coming over to me and wanting attention. She'd get underneath the table, sit between my legs. And I've taught her one of the things that I've trained her on is to come safe. And when I tell her to come safe, she's to come and sit between my legs. If I'm standing, come and sit between my legs, or if I'm sitting, come and sit between my legs. So that's her safe space. She knows that when she's sitting there, that she's safe. And so when I tell her to come safe, that's where she goes. So today I'm sitting at the table and she just comes and sits between my legs while I'm sitting there at the table. She's actually looking out the door, which means there's somebody walking past somewhere. So she came and did that, and then she would, and so I'd bend down and scratch her with my left hand while I was busy writing with my right hand, and then she'd sort of like start moving away. So I was getting out of the reach, so she was getting out of reach of my left hand, and I was like, damn it. So then she would get out from under the table, and then she would back up and put her butt against my right leg, and so I'd say, butt scratches now. The only time she was quiet was when I was on the phone or if I was giving her scratches. That's the only time. Well, now she seems to have calmed down a little bit, so we're going to go sit outside, but it's been a gorgeous day here today. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's supposed to be like a high of 64 today. I actually have long pants on today. I haven't had yoga pants on for weeks. I can't remember the last time I had yoga pants. I think the last time I had yoga pants on was the day I drove here, because I don't drive in short pants. I always drive with my yoga pants on. So that would have been September 30th. Felt weird putting long pants on this morning, but it was cool enough where I needed them. But I'm still been walking around in a t-shirt. We had the doors been open all day with the screen door closed. I had the window over the sink open all day, but then it started getting, the wind was picking up and I had to close up the awning because it was getting blown around a little bit. But there was a lot of wind coming in through the window of the kitchen, so I ended up closing that, and there's this fine icky dust all over my countertop and everything else. I'm like I got up and I'm walking around on the floor, and I usually in bare feet, and I'm like feeling the floor, and I swept it yesterday and everything else. I'm like, ooh, what is this? And then I put my hand on the counter and go, ugh, and there's a thin layer of dust all over the counter, thin layer of dust all over the floor, and I'm like, so that's when I closed the kitchen window, but the wind hasn't been coming in, and I've only got the door open. And but it's been a beautiful day. The whole RV's been aired out. I think it got to, the temperature in the RV's been pretty good. It's been around 71, 72 in the RV, while it's like 64 outside. So the Reflectix is doing its job of maintaining the heat inside the RV, or keeping it cool when it's supposed to. And Zephy's been doing this most of the day. She's sitting there on the top step. Her feet are on the next step down. And she's watching everything come and go outside there. And when she sees people, she whines. And when she sees dogs, she actually starts running up and down the RV and up onto the windowsill, onto the dashboard to see, where are they? Come see me, come see me. So it's been a fun day today. But it's been nice because we've been able to have the RV open and airing out, and because it's getting a little stuffy in here, just having the AC going all day. And of course, with all the dust blowing around, it's playing havoc with my sinuses. Got this goop going down the back of my throat. The other reason I've been drinking a lot of lemon, ginger, and honey tea today to help keep the back of my throat cleared as best I can, because I hate it. I hate feeling it sit there. So I like the hot liquid to help dissolve all of that and get it out of there. And the honey in the tea helps soothe the throat so it doesn't get too raw. But if I talk too much like I am now, I'm feeling the strain in the vocal cords. So I'm going to go give it a rest, make myself another cup of tea, and maybe we'll go sit outside. Yeah, I've got to be on a call in 32 minutes. In 32 minutes. Got to be on another call in 32 minutes. So, 42 minutes. And so maybe I'll go make myself a cup of tea, and we'll go sit outside and let somebody roam around outside on her long leash, but she'll probably whine the entire time because she wants to go further than the leash will allow her to go. Even though she's got like a 30-foot lead, and I give her like 20 of those feet, she'll go under the RV out the other side. She'll get herself wrapped around the tires, wrapped around the leveling jack legs. She'll go as far as she can onto the thing, but especially if she wants to pee or poop or anything, she won't do it within 3 sights of the RV. Yeah. This morning I walked her over to the thing. She's literally like running to get to the dog park this morning. And the dog park is behind us one row, and 4 or 5 sites down. And she literally tried to run the entire way there this morning. Because she didn't want to stop anywhere on the way to pee or poop because it was too close to the RV. She's so funny. But anyway, that's it from us for today. Hope you've had a super fantastic Magic Monday. What things did you get started today? Did you just go out there and start for your Magic Monday moment of just starting? What things did you get started to do with today? So let us know in the comments below, or you can private message me, that works too. But have a super fantastic Sparkling Magic Monday evening, and we will catch you guys tomorrow for Tune Up Tuesdays. Hei konera!